Alright, so over the last 2 years, this tier 1 roster has shown two very clear strengths, and one of them, of course, is their decisiveness when it comes to objectives and doing them very quickly at certain moments, like the Nasher, for example. And the second strength is how they create picks and how they get into situations to make them. So in this video, we're going to look at that one, and we will try to find some patterns here. So first game we look at versus G2, then I also have one versus Gen G, but we are going to look at this later. So this starts out kind of normal. So Broken Blade gets caught out a little bit in the top lane because he overextends without a turret. He was aware of it quite early, but oh well. And so this all is quite normal. So G2's response is they go for the cross map and the dragon, which is completely fine. And then T1 goes for the Herald, and they will maybe go and push our top lane wave and then push mid, and then also try to contest this jungle from G2. This is kind of what their plan is going to be. Meanwhile, G2, there's not much to take at this side of the map for them, so they will have to reset and then kind of retake their top lane. This is the basic situation here that has to unfold. So this is pretty standard. You will see this in a lot of matches. And there's not really that much different things to do here after the mistake from Broken Blade. So everything's standard for now. So now we see G2 all come out of base. Kai'Sa is holding mid lane. And the first interesting thing happens now. So what G2 will expect from this situation is that T1 will contest this blue buff with at least 3 people, like with Y, with the AD carry, and with Jax. This is kind of the expectation they have to have. And then that Faker is going to recall, as we can see right now, which is also he's thinking about right now, and then he goes bot lane and takes the farm there because the lane is completely free. And they are just bleeding farm there right now. Both of them, of course, because Broken Blade is dead. So this is kind of what normally would happen. Most teams, Ahri would recall now, would come from base, go bot lane and take her waves there. And then T1 would go for this blue buff and then go out as soon as possible because G2 is coming from base. But as we can see here, Faker actually overstays and joins his team in this kind of situation here. And this is not really that usual, because you kind of have to predict what the other team wants to do with their tempo. Like right now, G2 would have a slight tempo advantage if he recalled, just all coming out of base, of course. So they would have the turn on the map on top side, but Faker completely disrupts this with him staying there and not going for these waves bot lane. So now they got this pick on Nautilus. It was not just Mickey X inting there and just running there blind. He didn't think that Ahri was there, most likely. So this is kind of, they call it a tempo trap. I think Caps even mentioned it in an interview with Kadrill. And yeah, this is one of the executions they did here. They did this multiple times in the series, but I thought this was a good example because now a completely new situation opens up. And instead of G2 having tempo on the map and having the ability to push out waves and things like that and set up stuff, now T1 just keeps the advantage because they just made the pick on Nautilus. So this is a really, if you make it work, it is a big advantage. But of course, if it doesn't work, then you lose a lot of farm for free and you just set yourself behind. So really good by Faker, and this is also, it really shows what makes Faker so good in this team. Because he does these kind of things all the time, where he drops a couple of waves, like 1 or 2 waves, to make a play happen for his team. And he predicts really well the general game state of. He predicts really well. He understands what the other team wants to do and what his team wants to do. Like this situation, to be honest, they misplayed this a bit. So just to go over it really quickly, they know right now they have a pretty good position with Zeus coming from this flank, and they have a 5v3 situation here. Because Nautilus of course was dead, and Na has no TP, which they timed most likely. So they know it's a 5v3 and they can dive this. I think this is a correct call, to be honest. They have a really solid flank here and a solid situation, but they misplay it quite a bit, so it doesn't turn out that well actually. Now versus Gen G we have a really similar situation. So it's also mid game. I think this is a good point to look at these kind of things. And right now we have again kind of a split. This time T1 goes for the dragon here. And Gen G wants to make a play top lane. They have the turret here still left, so this is kind of what they want to do. This is what Gen G always does, especially if they come from behind. So they are really good at this usually. So yeah, Gen G, they play this really standard, and we see Joby is farming the side lane, and right now, in this situation, when they want to make this kind of play, Akali has no real counterplay, they're alone, they also don't have a Gragas TP or anything, so she can't defend the turret, so this is not an option. So what would normally happen is that Joby, after pushing out one wave, he will transition to mid lane, and he does this because it's easier for them to play as a team like that when he is mid lane and they are top, so he can join fights or be just responsive to things. It doesn't make sense for him to just stay bot and blindlessly push the bot lane wave. So on the other side, for T1, what usually I think most people would do as Akali, since there's nothing for them to defend there really, is they would just reset and then go bot lane and then there take the waves that are coming in. This would be kind of the normal play. They would probably give the turret and then make maybe the rest of the team will try to go for the second tier mid turret. This is, I think, something most teams would do here. But T1, with this kind of advantage they have right now, they are really far ahead already. They want to fight, of course, because they are so much stronger when it comes to XP and items usually. And this is kind of what they force here. And this pick, very similar to the one versus G2, right? It's again the support trying to go forward a bit and find some vision and things like that. But he doesn't expect Faker to be there. So this time T1 really, they respond very, very quickly here. So they push mid lane instantly after the dragon, they all go there and then they are basically ready to respond to the situation. Zeus already was mid lane. And yeah, the Faker was again dropping waves bot lane here, that he could already be on his way here to make this kind of play happen. And with them pushing mid lane, they can find a really, really good path to join this whole situation here and make this really miserable for Gen G and give them not even a chance to even take this turret or make any play happen on the other side of the map. And this is all possible because Faker overstayed on the map again. So it's really similar to the situation we had before this. And now some people might say, oh, what is Joby doing? He's just fair farming AFK. But it's not really his fault. He is doing the standard play here with transitioning to mid. Also the problem here for him is he can't really go for this kind of transition where he goes straight to the jungle because all of T1 was at dragon. So he has to go all this way around here to be safe and to not just waste his ult or flash or things like that, or just die because by ult locks him down. And he's really kind of trapped here. And it's really hard for him to be faster on this play. So yeah, the biggest mistake here was by Lehans just being way too over-eager there, I think. And not respecting the fact that Faker could stay there on this part of the map. Because it's not, at this point, like when we look at this situation, it's not that hard to predict, I think, that this might happen. I think he's way too far off here, especially alone, it's way too far. Lastly, I want to show you guys maybe a bit of an example where it doesn't quite work out and it's kind of a funny outcome. At least if you're a T1 fan, if you're a G2 fan, it's more sad than funny, I think. So again, they overstay their welcome here, this time as a team and not Faker alone. And instead of recalling and then fixing waves and then ending the game like that, they stay on the map to find a pick. Again, same thing as before, again with the Ahri, again with Leona, champions like that. But Carrier misplaced the situation, Faker doesn't land the charm, so it doesn't work. And now this is actually not that great for T1, because now they are still on the map. They should have already recalled like 20 seconds ago probably, like now they should have reset already, or they could have. And now it's 20 seconds later, they get chased, so their whole tempo is kind of ruined now. They have to reset far back, and now G2 actually can play the map, because they are so far behind what they should usually be, because it doesn't work. And this kind of gives G2 some breathing room to play the game again. But, and this is also why it looks really crazy, this teleport, if you just look at it. And to be honest, it is crazy, it should be just an int, to be honest. But the logic here behind it for Zeus is that he wants to disrupt their tempo advantage here and kind of stall all of what they are trying to do. Because now, since they are 20 seconds late with their records or even more, they are not where they should be on the map, which is already here, of course. and G2 could get a free turret, and then they could get vision and things like that, and it would stall out the game. So yeah, he just teleports down a minion, completely crazy to be honest, but since they are so far ahead, they can't really quite kill him, and he gets enough time for his whole team to kind of join the fight, and this basically ends the game. But in theory you could see the disadvantages of what happens if like this kind of tempo trap doesn't work, and how you have to kind of salvage it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you feel like, and I will see you on the next one.